The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and are not necessarily those of WPSL. WPSL does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WPSL. It's time now to check your indoor air quality as WPSL presents Speedy On Call with Speedy Air Conditioning Service. Call in now with your HVAC questions at 340-1590. Now, here's your host.
Good morning and welcome to Speedy On Call. This is David from Speedy Air Conditioning. We service the Treasure Coast area from Vero Beach down to Hobe Sound. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida. We are a full-service air conditioning company. We do installation, maintenance, service, repair. And this is a call-in show that we field your air conditioning questions, and we are happy to do that. And I just wanted to mention a couple things because we always want to mention any specials or rebates that we have going on. We do currently still have a rebate and a 0% financing offer from American Standard Air Conditioning. And also, we had a rebate and finance offer from Rude, which ended May 31st, but they did extend the finance portion of that offer till the end of June. So there's still some pretty good offers out there. If you're in the market for central air, we'd be happy to provide you with a free estimate, in-home analysis. And you can call our office to book an appointment at 772-871-1560. So something came to my attention this week that I wanted to talk about. I know we've talked about it. We brought it up on the show before, but it keeps on raising its head. And I got a letter this week from the Better Business Bureau. Okay. I am a member. Speedy Air Conditioning is a member of the Better Business Bureau, so I get these newsletters. And apparently there's been an increase in unlicensed activity again.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
It is the season, though. I mean, it's getting warmer, and so that would probably amp up too.
You know what happens is we see a influx of folks from the south, like from Palm Beach and Broward County, coming up and doing work in our area, and a lot of times it's in the evening and weekends when that work is going on. But we also see that with the economy picking up, new construction is picking up, that new guys go into business. They're not always licensed. They advertise.
New guys going into business is okay. I mean, you know, it's good for the community.
I think
but unlicensed may not be so good.
I think this is a free country. If you want to go into business, go into business. You know, like if you feel that's your calling, then go into business. And I wish everybody the best. It's being a business owner and being in business is a lot of work.
Sure.
It can be rewarding, but it's a lot of work to run a good quality business. And if you want to get into business and you can set yourself up and run a good quality business, go at it. It can be very rewarding. But what I don't like is to see unlicensed, uninsured people doing business out there. And the letter that I got from the Better Business Bureau basically said that licensed and uninsured. Or licensed, they actually said licensed and insured. That's what they said in his ad. I'm just reading right from the article. That's what they said in the ad. And they hear about this all the time. So they get reports. And one good thing that Better Business Bureau has done is they've actually partnered with DBPR, which is the Department of Professional and Business Regulation. And that is the governing body in the state of Florida that gives licensing to contractors. They administer the exams and then they give the licenses after you've passed your exam. And in the state of Florida, again, it is a homeowner's responsibility by law to hire a licensed contractor.
Right.
If a contractor advertises or says to your face that they're licensed and they don't prove a license, they may not be licensed. And if you enter into an agreement with them and something happens, whether there's one of their employees gets hurt on your property, whether they don't perform the work the way they said they were going to, whether they put in equipment that is not the same equipment they promised you, and you want to take them to court, if it's an unlicensed contractor, the judge will not even hear your case because you've entered into a contract illegally and it was your responsibility. That's a lot of folks don't understand that, but that's the way the court systems look at unlicensed activity. Now, on the other hand, if it was a licensed contractor, you have full recourse in a court of law if they did not fulfill the agreement that they signed with you. But what we find out there is that
wouldn't the license number be on my agreement?
It should be.
Okay.
And that's a great point, Veronica. Like when you're a licensed contractor, there is guidelines on your business card, on your agreements,
on your
commercial trucks, on a commercial. Yeah, anything you're actually supposed to state and have visible a copy of your license. If somebody shows up to your house to do repair work or to do an installation and they show up in a nice white truck and there's no lettering on it, there's no license on it, they're likely not licensed because it's a legal requirement to have that right on your vehicle. And I see these vehicles driving around the city. I see the refrigerant gauges hanging out the back window. I see they got the tools in there. Guys driving around, white truck, no lettering, no license, nothing. I know they're not licensed, but I'm not going to follow them around and take their license number and report them.
Now, is it a technicality that maybe they work for someone who's licensed and then that's okay or that's not okay?
No.
Okay.
No, you're supposed to be licensed.
Okay.
And you're supposed to visibly display your license on all your advertising.
No excuses. No.
All your paperwork,
okay.
your vehicles. No, there's no excuses.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I was surprised to see this article from Better Business Bureau. And what they've done, they've actually partnered with DBPR to track licensed, like unlicensed activity, and they have a reporting mechanism. And actually, if you go to the DBPR website, you can enter a contractor's license. Even if somebody gives you a license and you're a little skeptical, you can enter their license number into that program, and it'll tell you, A, whether they're licensed, where they're located, and whether their license is active or not.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a license from 10 years ago, and yeah.
Sometimes people let their license expire, but they still display their license number. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with somebody that's licensed and insured. And I don't want to scare people, but again, if somebody is working in your house and they're not insured, the liability is fully on the homeowner.
Sure. And even if that technician that comes out who's not insured, if he gets hurt on your property, aren't you also responsible? Because you're now technically his boss. You hired him to do a job on your property.
That's right. So if you have somebody on your property that is not insured, they don't carry liability insurance or workers' comp insurance. If they don't have a liability insurance and they break something in your house or
they get hurt. That's kind of scary.
So your homeowner's insurance will now have to kick in to take care of any damage to your property, and if they get injured on your property, they have no workers' comp. That's going to go towards. They could actually sue you.
Sure.
Or sue your insurance company for damages to their being.
Yeah, and your insurance company is not going to be very happy about that.
No, not at all. So you just have to be cautious. There's a lot of stories out there about people hiring unlicensed folks and those situations happening. So you just have
people
to be,
shouldn't feel a little shy to ask. I mean, if it's not obvious or evident that there's a license, I need to see it. What's the number?
Veronica, it's like when my folks go to the house, they have business cards, it has their license number on it. It's on our trucks. We show up, they're lettered, they have the license number on it.
So your guys aren't making me ask to see it. You're already showing me.
But if you ask my employees to see it, they have a copy of our licensing, our workers' comp, and our liability insurance with them in each truck. When myself or Jeff go out, if we do an estimate for a customer, we actually show you a copy of our license and our insurance certificates when we're sitting and meeting with you, so that you know that we are licensed. Okay, and that sort of brings me to my next point, and it's really, if you invite somebody to your home to give you an estimate on a system, what should you be looking for? What questions should you ask? What documentation should you want to see? And a proper estimate should include things like an inspection, so like an investigation of what you've currently got. And that would include looking at, measuring the equipment that you have there now, the access to it, checking the electrical, checking the drain, checking the existing ductwork, all the infrastructure that's connected to that, so that the person looking at giving you an estimate or proposal understands that whatever they give you an estimate on is going to work. You know, not just that they don't look at anything, or they just look at the air handler and then they give you a price. You know, I think that's very important. And most contractors, if they're a good contractor, they're going to want some information from you to understand what your needs are. So if you're looking at a new system, they should understand what's your comfort level. We talked about this before the show. Your husband likes it really cold. He wants to hang meat in the
Hang
house.
meat, yeah.
and if I'm coming in and a customer tells me I want to keep it 68 degrees, I'm going to be looking at sizing a system that's going to keep it 68 degrees based on the square footage of the house. And if you're telling me you're going to keep it at 78 degrees, your requirements are way different. So,
well, you know, for me, it's like one of those things. Like I drive a V8 because I don't necessarily need a V8, but I'm happy knowing I've got it.
yes.
So, like the air conditioner, I want to know that I can get it that cold if I wanted it that cold. I may not want it that cold all the time, but I want to know it can do it.
Right. And that's important when we're looking at options and sizing for a system, that we understand what the need is. What we want to do is get a balance between the right size and not oversizing, because then we have a humidity issue. If we oversize, then we're not going to get the humidity removal, and you're still not going to be comfortable.
Right.
So, but we still want to be able to take that temperature down to your comfort level.
Sure.
Right. So, you know, we want to understand what your comfort level is. We want to understand if you've got any needs in respect to air quality, as far as does anybody have allergies in the house? Have you had any mold issues? Have you had any problems with high humidity, so that we can design a system that's going to work properly for you. We also want to understand what efficiency and what budget range you're looking at, because you can go with your minimum SEER, your 1450 SEER, which is the state requirement of a 14 SEER, or you can go more to the mid-range with the 16, 17 SEER, or your very high-end systems that get up over 20 SEER. And SEER, again, is your efficiency. It's like miles per gallon on a car. The higher the SEER rating, the more efficient your air conditioning system is. But with SEER comes price. So the higher you go in SEER typically, and the more features you look at, whether it's a single stage or a two-stage or a inverter drive, a variable speed system, your price is going to go up, and it can go up considerably. So understanding needs are extremely important. Humidity control, location of the unit, is it located in a location that it's noisier because of where the return air is to the home, or do you have ductwork separating that from the home so that you don't have to worry as much about the air handler configuration, because there's certain product that are quieter than other product. So those are.
And it's okay if it's not quiet if it's in the garage, right?
Yeah, usually when it's in the garage, you can have two types of configurations. You can have a unit that sits on basically a return air box, and immediately to the wall inside the house, on the back side of that, is your return air grill. So you can have a fair amount of noise that transfers directly from the air handler through that grill. So we want to make sure that the return air is lined. So when you put insulation, it's a rigid board insulation inside that return air, it actually helps to attenuate the sound. So if it's not insulated now, it's just drywall or a concrete floor, by adding insulation, we can actually lessen the noise level. And it's really a better way. And if it's in a garage, legally it's supposed to be insulated anyways. If the unit sits on a box inside the house, it's not as important, but still it's good for sound attenuation. So those things are important. And a contractor, during his sort of investigative process, should be asking questions before they even talk about price or about options, so that you know that they're concerned about your needs and they're covering all your questions before they even start to show you equipment.
That location of that unit kind of dictates their options then.
Yeah, the location of the unit will definitely, some units have less space. Some are built into an alcove. Some are in a closet. Some closets are wide. Some are narrow. Some are in an attic. Attics are always fun because you're usually more limited in space in an attic, both with the size of the access and location in the attic, than you are when it's in a garage or a closet. So all those have to be taken into consideration in a really a proper sizing, measuring, and understanding of the existing infrastructure are required to give the best options available to any given homeowner. So those are all very important. And again, I'm just gonna talk about the special because some people tune in as the show's going on. So we are Speedy on Call. This is Speedy Air Conditioning from Port St. Lucie. We cover the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hope Sound. We're a full-service air conditioning company. We do air conditioning, installation, service, repair, maintenance. And if you have any questions or you're looking to book an appointment for any of that, you can call our office at 772-871-1560. You can normally call us at the station here as well. It's 340-1590. There is some type of connection problem with AT&T
Today's
today.
program is previously recorded.
Yeah, so this will be a recorded program that will be aired later. So we're not taking any calls today, unfortunately, because I always enjoy fielding calls.
Well, they can always call us, though, and we'll pass along your number if they ever have a question.
When the show does come on, if you get this message, then you can call the station. They'll pass on our number, or you can call us directly at the office.
Kind of like if you're hearing us now, you're really hearing us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got me on screen on YouTube as well. But getting back to the topic, so that full understanding of what the options are for any given contractor in respect to even the different types of filters that are available, because there's different levels of filtration that are available. If that's an important issue to you, then we should be looking at a better quality filter, someone that picks up more particles out of the air than a regular filter.
I have a little story for you. A long time ago, I ran an apartment complex in West Texas with 104 units with 104 air conditioners. And boy, I can tell you, some people didn't even know they were supposed to change those filters. Things that you would see sucked into there.
It's funny that you mention that, because we see that on a regular basis. We have a lot of rental homes in our area, and a lot of times the landlord will contact us and looking for an estimate or some repair work, and it's not uncommon to go out to the home and check where the filter is and see it's either plugged or it's not there. And
none at all.
And
okay.
And what we hear from the tenant is, that's where the filter is, and they're sort of surprised that there's a filter.
But you know what?
System,
their concern is very little because it's really not their air conditioner.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Normally what you see on those systems is a coil that is plugged up, extremely dirty, because it just hasn't been maintained properly. There's been many periods where the filter was left out and not used, so that's a very typical situation.
What's the process for that? If you find the coil is really, can you clean that? Is there hope for that unit or?
In many cases you can. So, but a proper cleaning for a coil, because you really can't reach it to clean it properly. You have to physically remove it.
Okay.
So we actually have to pump the refrigerant back into
I'd
the
be
unit
like,
outside.
while it's out.
So you have to take it out, and then we apply a coil. It's a chemical coil cleaner.
Okay.
Usually it's done outside in the yard or the driveway. And we have to put that on. That dissolves the buildup that's on there, the staining, the debris that's in there. And then we rinse the coil out. And then we have to reinstall it. So it's a bit of a process.
Sure.
It can take, usually a couple hours, 2.5, as much as 3 hours, depending on the location. If they're in the attic, it could take 3 hours. It could take 2 men, depending on how tough it is to get that coil in and out.
Okay.
So it can be cleaned. It's not cheap, but it can be cleaned. And once it's cleaned, your system's going to run totally different than because a partially plugged or an impacted coil is going to make a large difference on both the capacity, the humidity control, and the amount of energy dollars you're spending.
Okay.
Because a plugged system is going to run you much more to operate. So cleaning it is going to do that. Now, if the system is getting really old and the coils are fairly deteriorated, we don't recommend that, because you could start to pull it out and everything could fall apart.
Yeah, the dirt was holding it together.
Yeah, and then we're going to make a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the dirt and the rust is holding it together, basically. So yeah, you could create a bigger problem. But my technicians will, if they know the coil's in very poor condition, they're not going to recommend a pull and clean, because they know they could run into problems, and they don't.
So if it was fairly new, a couple of years old, and neglected, it might be worth cleaning.
Yes.
But if it's like in its 10th year, or who knows how old.
and a 2-year-old system will have been neglected, like no filter, to be that dirty.
Okay.
Because a good filter, a good regimented replacement is, your system shouldn't need a pull and clean for at least 5 years. And if you've got a good filtration system, if you don't have pets in the house, you keep a clean home, you may never need it. But especially if you have pets, multiple pets in the home, carpeting in the home, you have more dust and particulate in the air,
Sure.
and the probability of the coil getting dirty is going to be increased. So those are just considerations. So another thing, when a contractor's in your home evaluating, you want to find out about warranties on equipment. Most manufacturers give you a 10-year or a 10-year parts warranty. It does have to be registered. If you don't register a warranty with any manufacturer, it defaults to a 5-year warranty. So you want to make sure you get that 10-year warranty, and you want to make sure that, normally a good company will register it for you. Like Speedy Air Conditioning, we register every customer's warranty. After all, our folks are installing, our installers install the system. They have the serial numbers right off the boxes. They bring it back to the office. It's easy for my staff to go onto the manufacturer website, register the equipment, and then we either email you or we mail you like a welcome package and as a copy of your warranty registration, so you can see evidence that it's been registered. You don't have to worry about your
and
warranty
it says,
running out
save
after
these
5
papers,
years.
and then I put them somewhere safe, and then I don't know where they are.
And if you can't find them, you can call our office. We have it on record for every customer.
That's great.
So and all you really have to do is go to the manufacturer website. You can type in your address, and your warranty registration will pop up.
That's great.
Once it's registered. The other thing is labor warranties. Like most contractors out there give a 1-year warranty. Some give you 2 years sometimes. But we also offer 5 and 10-year labor warranties, which are pretty reasonable. And for the folks that don't want to worry about repairs down the road, if you get 10-year parts, 10-year labor, now you're covered bumper to bumper, parts and labor. You should never really have a repair bill again. The only thing you want to make sure you do is have maintenance. Annual maintenance is important, and it's required by both the manufacturer and a labor warranty company can ask you for proof of maintenance. So the last thing they want is to get 3-5 years down the road and your compressor goes, and come to find out you don't replace your filters on a regular basis. You've never done maintenance. You've never had the system cleaned or looked at, and now you're wanting
a new system.
you could be denied both part and labor warranty from those warranty entities.
Sure.
Because you haven't had it maintained. So that's an important step in the process. So that complete evaluation, checking out the the type of thermostat you're looking for. Is it standard? Is it programmable? Is it a Wi-Fi thermostat? And your duct system. The duct system is the part of your home that breathes. The air conditioner, air handler, the airflow goes through your duct system. If it's sized correctly, it's going to breathe correctly. It's going to deliver the air. It's going to bring back the hot, stale air, the humid air back to the air conditioner, and it's going to deliver the cool, dry air into your home. If there's a problem with your duct system, whether it's old, deteriorated, broken, infested with those rats and things that can get in
You've
your
had
ductwork.
critters in the attic.
Critters, if critters have got up there,
or even just the cable guy, right?
Or the cable. Yeah. Usually, if the cable guy's been out there and done some damage, it's repairable. But things can happen to the duct system over time, and we just want to make sure the integrity's still there. So when you connect,
and who goes up there to find out if everything's okay? I mean, I'm not ever going up there.
I have some younger guys that are fairly thin and nimble.
The new guy?
But most attics aren't too bad. Some are pretty tight, but you can access most areas of most attics, but some attics you just can't get into. So you have to visually get your flashlight up there and do the visual inspection without actually physically getting into spots. But normally you can see most areas, and you can inspect well enough to know if there's any leakage or damage on your existing duct system. To know whether it needs addressing before the new system goes in. So those are all important things that should be documented during a on-site visit. And then, the final step is really giving options on what equipment will work good for you, and listing that all out in writing. So you never want to take somebody's verbal word. You want to know what you're getting in writing. You want to understand what model numbers you're getting of equipment. And that's what, when you enter into an agreement, that's what you should be agreeing on, everything that is in writing, so that there's accountability on both ends. Customers agreed to pay this amount for this system, and you've agreed to deliver this system with the details of installation the way it's written, so that everybody is really covered. And at the end of the day, everybody should be happy because they've got what they've agreed to.
Sure.
So those are
and installed correctly so that everything does work smoothly. That's
Yeah, and we Jeff and I think we spent 2 shows talking about what to expect when the installation crew shows up, does their work for the day, and what checklist items should be taken care of during the installation and when the installation's done. And the whole setup process, once the installation's done, you want to make sure the equipment's set up to manufacture spec, so it's delivering the rated efficiency you purchased. Because if you don't check those things, you could walk away from it and you bought a 16 SEER system and it's operating like a 14 because it's never been set up properly.
right.
Both airflow and refrigerant charge have to be checked and balanced to make sure they're correct.
And the customer will be saying, ever since the new air conditioner, something's different. Something's not right. It's
Yes.
not quite right. It's
Yes.
not like it used to be.
It's not like it used to be. If it's set up correctly, it should give you plenty of cooling.
It should be like it used to be or better.
When it was new. Yeah,
Yeah.
when the old one was new,
Yeah.
that's what you should be getting. Yeah.
Sure.
So your cooling, your dehumidification, your airflow should all be correct. Yeah. We're going to go to
Okay.
a commercial break, and then we're going to be back with Speedy on Call.
To stay cool this summer, call Speedy Air Conditioning today. Their expert technicians will handle everything from maintenance and repairs to a whole new system. Call Speedy Air Conditioning Service on the Treasure Coast at 871-1560. Right now, when you call, ask about money-saving rebates from American Standard. With up to $1,100 off and 0% financing for 36 months. Speedy Air Conditioning Service, your HVAC and indoor air quality company, license CAC 1817623. Visit online, speedyacservice.com or call 871-1560. You're listening to Speedy on Call with the experts of Speedy Air Conditioning Service here on WPSL. Call in with your questions, 340-1590. Now, back to your host.
Welcome back to Speedy on Call. It's David from Speedy Air Conditioning, and we are a Treasure Coast contractor servicing Vero Beach down to Hobe Sound. We're located in Port St. Lucie. We are a full-service contractor offering installation, service, maintenance, and repair. Our office number is 772-871-1560. If you need any of these services and you're looking for a contractor, we'd be happy to provide that for you. Again, 772-871-1560. So today we were talking about what to expect from a contractor. We're sort of prompted by a letter I got from the Better Business Bureau talking about people, contractors advertising that they're licensed and insured when they're really not licensed and insured. And what we talked on the top of the show about requirements for licensing, and that it is a state requirement to be a licensed contractor, to advertise on your vehicles, on your business cards, and all your paperwork, your contractor license number, and that there's a entity in the state of Florida. It's called the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. They are the licensing entity in the state of Florida that handles both the exams, the testing, and the administering of licenses in the state. They do have a website. If you go to DBPR and you want to check out a contractor to make sure they're licensed, they're active, and they're current, you can simply type in the person's name, or the company's name, or the company. Even the best thing to do is type in their contractor license number that they're showing you, and it will bring up their company, who the licensing person is, whether it's the company owner or one of the employees, and whether the license is current and active.
So if you type in a number and nothing comes up, you better ask more questions.
You better ask more questions because it will come up. Like if you type in Speedy's number, you'll see that it comes up. Our current address is there. My name will come up there as the licensing person, and it'll show you that the company is active, so that everything's been paid up. We're a paid-up licensed contractor. The other thing we talked about was insurance, the importance of insurance, because I'm going to mention it again because some people tune in partway through the show, but hiring a licensed contractor for any work you do on your home is the homeowner's responsibility. That's the way the law is written in the state of Florida. So if somebody tells you they're licensed and you believe them and they're not, and you hire them and come to find out that there's problems with the installation, or they damaged your property, or some of their employees got hurt on your job on the job site, and there's legal action to pursue, the courts will not acknowledge like a lawsuit or any type of claim if you dealt with a non-licensed entity, because it's your responsibility to do that.
Right.
And that's what they'll tell you.
So never be afraid to ask for it.
You chose not to hire a licensed contractor. You're out of luck. So it's a very important thing, and hopefully it never happens to anybody out there, but it has happened to folks out there. And that's why there's a law. That's why there's a law there, because it happens.
Yeah.
So Florida's a little bit like the Wild West. People say a lot of things that aren't true.
See, and I'm sure people don't want to offend either. I don't want to offend you by asking you to prove to me you're licensed and insured. So if it's up front, then no one's uncomfortable.
That's right. And that's what you'll find. I did mention it earlier that, whenever my partner or I do a presentation in your home, we show you a copy of our contractor license, state of Florida contractor license, and our insurance policies, so that you know that you're dealing with somebody that's licensed and insured. Some of the entities we deal with, like the Better Business Bureau, like when you're a member, you have to prove licensing. When you're dealing with any of the municipalities as far as getting permits and things like that, you have to prove licensing and insurance annually with them that you're current, or else they will not give you a permit. You have to be a licensed contractor.
Oh, so pretty much if I'm doing business with someone who's not licensed, not insured, he's not pulling a permit for my house.
They won't be pulling a permit because they can't.
They can't.
You cannot pull a permit unless you're licensed.
Okay.
You cannot. You won't get it. But I do hear this on a regular basis that he told me he was pulling the permit. And then I said, well, when was the inspection done? I don't ever remember an inspection being done. Well, he didn't pull a permit because it's 100% requirement that a permit is pulled. Some contractors that are not licensed will say, oh, it's a random process. You may or may not have an inspector call you. That's not the truth. It's 100% requirement that every job gets a permit and every job is inspected by them.
Now, isn't it the inspection that closes the permit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once the inspection's completed.
So if you've got an open permit, you can't sell your house.
Yes.
You'll find out later that
and
there are problems.
Most municipalities, the permit expires after, I think it's 5 months.
Okay.
And then the contractor will get a notice, usually a week or two before it expires, to make sure they close out that permit.
Right.
We get this a couple times a year, where even though we make customers aware that we're going to pull a permit, there's going to be an inspection that pursues, when it comes time to book their inspection,
it doesn't happen.
They refuse to. They'll say, well, can they be home? Can they come Saturday or Sunday or on a holiday? And it's like, no, they have regular business hours. Somebody has to be here between 8 and it drags on to the point where that customer refuses to have the inspection. Now, in those cases, a contractor has the ability to call the city, fill out a form, and then the city will pursue the party for the final inspection. But some people realize after the permit's pulled that they've done work in their house that they didn't pull permits for other work, plumbing work, electric work, construction work, and then they don't want the inspector to come in because they'll see the other work that got done. And in those cases, sometimes they refuse up to 5 months, and then we have to again sign off with the city, and the city follows up on it. But
it's for the protection of the homeowner,
time,
though. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. It is protection for the homeowner.
Yeah.
You want to know that it's been inspected and that the work has been done.
I mean, this is an electrical machine. It could burn your house down.
It could. if it's very poorly installed, it could. So, we were talking about things to look for from a contractor. And we spent some time talking about if you're getting an estimate, what you should expect from a contract come out, that they do a proper site inspection, they list out things, they review your needs with you before they give you pricing and options, and that they give you good pricing and options and they've covered all the bases. Other things that we want to make sure is that they're offering you, financing options. Like some people, they don't care about financing, they don't want any debt. But there's some good 0% financing options out there.
What's a big purchase? Not everybody can just write that check.
No, and even if they can, once they realize they can get 2 years or 3 years at 0%, hey, why take the money out of the bank, or why use that Visa card when you can get interest free for 2 to 3 years? So it starts to make a lot of sense to folks. The other thing you want to make sure is that when options are offered, they're not offering just one thing, and you don't feel like you're getting pigeonholed into one product and one product only. If there's only one product that'll fit, it's usually because that manufacturer has maybe a specialty air handler that's a very small configuration, and you only have the space for that. But normally, there's more than one brand option that could be offered to you. Sometimes there's 2, 3, 4 options that could work for you, depending on, and some people ask for particular brands by name, and some are better brands, some are not so good brands. But we usually go through the process of explaining that to you and why. So those are important things. I think the other thing that to consider, when you're looking at an economy that's growing and the new construction has taken off again, that's when new guys get into business, and you want to make sure you're dealing with somebody that's not maybe been doing it for 2 years,
right?
And now your installation becomes their first or second or third installation, and you become their guinea pig on how to do an installation. You want to.
Well, everybody's got to start somewhere, but
you want to be that starting
house,
point.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they have some level of experience. Like that either if they haven't been in business for 10 or more years, or they don't have people on staff that are experienced people that do the work, that perhaps you can get referrals of people they've done work for.
Okay.
So that that they have happy customers. Which sort of brings us to another point. When you're in the world of internet and computers that we have today, it's not hard to Google a particular contractor and look for customer reviews and to see whether do they have Google reviews, do they have Yelp reviews, are they listed on places like Home Advisor, Better Business Bureau, and other entities that.
And I say don't just read the first couple.
No.
Scroll down and get in there and see what.
Not at all. So you want to see if it's if there's a 5-star rating.
I mean, people are even doing that for restaurants.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
yeah, everything.
My wife uses it all the time. I use it as well. Like I when I shop, I want to read the reviews, and I want to read between the lines. Like what are the customer reviews really saying about this? Is it a product problem or is it a contractor problem? And you want to understand that. So if you're comfortable with the reviews you're seeing. Great. This could be a good opportunity with a good contractor. If you're not seeing any reviews, that raises a red flag for me. A, is it a real company? B, have they just started in business? C, do they have the experience you're looking for to get the job done right? So those are just things to consider when you're looking for a contractor. Spend a little bit of time, do your due diligence. I sold a job to a couple. Actually, my partner was out there, and I talked to them as well on the phone. And some people are very discerning when it comes to making a decision. And this was a couple. They took about 2 weeks to make a decision, and I think I talked to them 3 or 4 times on the phone. They had a lot of questions, but you know what? I applaud them because I'm happy to answer the questions. I'm happy to repeat myself. I'm happy to go over the terms of what we're talking about, because it's better that you ask all those questions and you're sure you're making the right decision than you just rush into something because you're hot and your air conditioner's not working today, and you pick the first person that's breathing that will
Who
come
can
and
get
put an
out
air
here
conditioner
quick
for you.
and
Exactly. First guy gets the job is not always the best guy gets the job. So, take a little bit of time.
See, I feel as though the last time we had our air conditioner replaced, it all happened very quickly. I mean, it was like a whirlwind. It really happened quickly. I chose the contractor, and it just sitting at my kitchen table, it all happened so quickly that I'm not sure that he took into consideration the size of the house.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a big house, but I have a big ceiling.
Yes.
So
the tall ceilings
I don't
add
know.
volume to the space, and you have to take that into consideration. It's not just the square footage; it's the actual volume of space you're cooling.
Yeah.
And that does have to be taken into consideration. Clearly, a home with 8-foot ceilings versus a home with 12-foot ceilings is more space to cool.
Right.
So that
But
has-
now
yeah.
maybe, I mean, I don't know because like I said, it happened so fast. He may have looked at the old unit and just said, this is the size and boom,
Yeah.
let's get you cool.
Yeah.
Because it was like 96 inside my house.
Yes, and it's uncomfortable. Now, one thing that we do offer, we have several portable units, and if you're down and we can't get there the next day, which this time of year, we get booked out. Like we typically get booked out close to a week. And,
Well, yeah. You here in this area, we all have air.
Right.
All of us.
But we
So-
do offer portables. We can set up portables in a couple of bedrooms, so at least you can sleep at night. You're not waking up, drenched, and the sheets are all.
Yeah, I
sweaty.
think it was cooler outside when
Yeah.
ours went. Yeah, I
No
think it was a
question.
little cooler outside.
Yeah, in the middle of summer, it can be cooler outside than inside the house for sure.
And that's when they go, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the air conditioners work the hardest once it gets up over 85 degrees, and that's when they're working at maximum pressure capacity, maximum amp draw. And if something's going to go, that's typically when it's going to go is when they're working the hardest.
Okay.
So that's when we get the most of the calls. So we covered. We're sort of talking through things to look for from a contractor, things to be aware of, licensing, that type of thing. And we're just going to finish up on that once we go to our final commercial break here. Again, this is before we go to the break. This is Speedy on Call. I'm Dave, and this is going to be a pre-recorded show today because we're having technical difficulties with I think AT&T.
Yes.
But you can call our office with questions anytime at 772-871-1560. And we do offer full service installation, service, repair, maintenance from Hope Sound up to Vero Beach.
That would be the whole Treasure Coast, wouldn't it?
Pretty much.
We'll be right back.
To stay cool this summer, call Speedy Air Conditioning today. Their expert technicians will handle everything from maintenance and repairs to a whole new system. Call Speedy Air Conditioning Service on the Treasure Coast at 871-1560. Right now, when you call, ask about money-saving rebates from American Standard. With up to $1,100 off and 0% financing for 36 months. Speedy Air Conditioning Service, your HVAC and indoor air quality company, license CAC 1817623. Visit online, speedyacservice.com or call 871-1560.
The success.
You're listening to Speedy on Call with the experts of Speedy Air Conditioning Service here on WPSL. Call in with your questions, 340-1590. Now, back to your host.
Welcome back to Speedy on Call. This is David from Speedy Air Conditioning in Port St. Lucie. We're a full-service air conditioning company covering the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hobe Sound. We offer installation, maintenance, service, repair. If you have any need in that area, we'd be happy to schedule an in-home visit with you. You can call our office at 772-871-1560. So on today's show, we've been talking about, started out stimulated by a letter I got from Better Business Bureau about unlicensed activity, uninsured activity by contractors, and it's not just air conditioning contractors. It's all contracting. It's once the economy picks up, you find that more and more guys are going into business, and many times they're not licensed and insured, but they're claiming they are. And this is what's happening. What the Better Business Bureau has seen an increase in this lately. They have partnered with the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, which is the licensing and governing body in the state of Florida in respect to all contractor licenses. And they're partnering with them to, in reporting unlicensed activity, you can report it, unlicensed activity directly to the DBPR, or you can go on their website and you can punch in a contractor's license number, and it will show up whether it's a licensed contractor and whether the license is currently active.
And remember, do that before the work is done.
Absolutely. You just want to double check. So from that, we sort of went into talking about what a proper estimate would look like if a contractor's coming in to give you an estimate. And this, again, it's not just air conditioning contractor. This could be electrical, plumbing, roofing contractor.
What is the other one that people have trouble with? Pools?
Pools. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think any construction trade is exempt from this type of activity. A lot of times you get folks working for somebody, and on the evenings and weekends, they'll be doing side jobs, telling people they're licensed, or they'll tell them, "Oh, I use my boss's license," when they're really not. Because
I have heard that.
The
that
boss
one
isn't going to let them use their license because it's a boss's liability.
Yeah, and and the boss is, if he's working on the weekend, he's losing money too. Then, if his workers are out, yeah.
And I've seen it personally. I've had neighbors that had, one of my competitors' truck in their driveway on a Saturday. And come to find out, it's an employee who's using their boss's truck.
Yeah, because he gets to take it home.
Doing repair work.
Because he's the emergency guy, right?
And when my neighbor calls in to say something's not right, they're saying, I don't have any record of a repair because...
Yeah, we weren't out to your house.
Yeah, we weren't out to your house. And they said, well, your guy, Al, was here, and Al was there. He wasn't working on the weekend. So then they find out it was...
and from that day forward, Al's on his own, right?
by Al, who was telling them he was representing his company. But this is a pretty common activity out there.
Now, the Better Business Bureau has this information. Now, where did they get it from? People making complaints? Is it because it's all after the fact then?
Yeah.
So people have already been harmed.
There's many members of the Better Business Bureau, but then there's non-members. And complaint can be filed against a member or a non-member. So when there's complaints being filed and the Better Business Bureau checks with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation and finds out that there's no entity licensed under that, now they have a mechanism for recourse.
Yeah. So when they say there's an uptick to unlicensed workers, that means work has already been done, though.
Typically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the case at that point. And again, I don't want to belabor this. I'll bring it up a third time. But in the state of Florida, it's a homeowner's responsibility to hire a licensed contractor. The courts of law look at it that way. So if you do hire somebody that's unlicensed, work goes on in your home and you're not happy with it, and you want to take that entity to court, the courts won't recognize it because it was your responsibility to assure that you hired a licensed contractor. That's the way the law is written. Unfortunately, you'll be stuck.
Sure.
With the situation. So, we talked about doing if a company comes out to give you an estimate, and it doesn't matter what trade it is, but doing a thorough in-home investigation before they sit down with you and go over pricing. The last thing you want is somebody to do a quick, a 2 or 3 minute look around and then start quoting you prices. You want to make sure that they've looked at the electrical, they've looked at the sizing, they looked at everything that's there, and then they're giving you, and not just one option that they're sort of pigeonholing on you because it's the easiest fit for them, but good options that are good for you, and that they answer your question, that they take the time to sit with you, show you the documentation, show you a brochure, show you the pricing, show you the different options, and then that they give you a detailed written proposal.
And you should probably then take a day. Don't just write the check then.
Well, if you're dealing with Speedy, I love it when you write the check right then.
Right.
But absolutely, if you're not comfortable right at that moment with making that decision, take your time. Wait a day. I know sometimes you don't have air and you want to make a decision. And if you feel comfortable with us at that time, then make the decision. But if you don't, then you should really hold off on that decision and make the decision when you're comfortable. But when you're dealing with legitimate licensed contractors that have your best interest in mind, they're typically going to spend some time with you to go over those options and make sure that they've answered all your questions and that you understand the details of the agreement and the work that's going to be performed. When it's going to be done, it's scheduled on a calendar, what the deposit's going to be, what the payment terms are going to be. It's all laid out ahead of time. And never, if a contractor says, give me 50% up front, don't do it. That's a danger sign.
Okay.
No established good contractor is going to ask for 50% or 100% of payment up front. You could be looking at somebody who's going to run away and you're never going to hear from them again. Because that's the other story we hear about all too often is I gave them $1,000, I gave them $2,000, I gave them a big deposit up front, and they never hear from them again.
Wow.
Yeah. So those are things to be careful of. The other thing when you're dealing with a company, installation is one thing, but then after the fact is another thing. Did you get the right warranty? Was it registered? If you have a problem down the road, is somebody going to come back and take care of you? Do they have technicians that work after hours or weekends who can respond to your needs if you have an emergency or if you have a situation where you need somebody out right away? So those are things to understand as well. And
so how does that work? You hear a lot of advertisements for 24 hours, 7 days a week. What my air conditioner goes out at 9 o'clock at night. I will wait till the morning, but some people might not be able to wait till the morning.
Most people, when it goes out late at night, sometimes we have a place on our website where you can fill out a service request. A lot of times they go there and say, please call me as soon as possible. So we get those first when we come in first thing in the morning. But if somebody calls my technician at 9 o'clock at night, normally they're still up. Normally they're not still working because in the middle of summer, my technicians typically work long hours already. And they will respond to extended hours. But if it gets into the evening, sometimes they're just too tired to respond. So if somebody's advertising 24-hour emergency service.
But you get like a call back and
yes.
They'll tell you when they can come out. Okay.
Yeah, the only time you won't get a call back is if he's already sleeping. Okay. So if he's gone,
and that's just not fair to be calling then anyway.
He'll get the message when he gets up in the morning.
Right.
And typically he'll call you back in the morning. But they'll normally, if they're still up, they'll typically respond and let you know what they can do, or they will let you know, if we can get you scheduled. Typically, you're going to get scheduled the following day regardless, if it's late at night. But a lot of times if it's emergency, you'll get extended hours and we'll show up even in the evening, But after hours, our phones at Speedy, we forward our phones to a designated technician so that anybody that calls in our regular office line, that tech will either respond live or get the message and then call you back within 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
So
but you're at least getting a call back.
Yes, there's a mechanism
unless
by
it's
which
3
you can
o'clock
get a
in the
call
morning.
back. Yeah, unless you're calling him when he's sleeping, he's not going to respond, and you're not going to hear back. But so just to sort of finalize here, the other really important thing on the installation is that the installation crew that comes out to do your work is thorough. They cover all the bases. They have a check and balance system so that everything is getting installed according to the contract that was sold, the proposal. All the features are listed out there, that everything is done according to the agreement, and that they do the proper setup of the system before they leave. And that is a real important piece, and I see all too often where a system gets installed and once it's running, that's it. They don't check the airflow. They don't check the refrigerant charge. Every unit that comes from a factory is charged for roughly about a 20-foot line set. So if your refrigerant lines between the air handler and the outdoor unit are longer than that or shorter than that, that charge has to be adjusted. So, and if it's not adjusted, the system's either going to be overcharged or undercharged, and it's not going to be running at optimal performance. So, just to finish up here, we are Speedy on Call. This is David from Speedy Air Conditioning of Port St. Lucie. We are a full-service air conditioning company. If you have any questions, if you need to book a estimate for a new system, maintenance, repair, service, you can reach us at 772-871-1560.
And we're out of time. See you next week.
Thank you.